Grace Welcher. I am an Eagle Scout from Troop 172, sponsored by Calvary Lutheran Church in Rapid City. It is my pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies for the 22nd Annual Leadership Breakfast for Scouting. Our theme this year is Reach New Heights, because Scouting programs teach more than just camping skills. They teach leadership, goal setting, and service to others, all qualities that help us reach above our challenges and achieve new heights. Because Scouting promotes citizenship, patriotism, and love for our country, please stand as our color guard presents the flag.
Color guard, forward march. Audience, please salute the flag. Color guard, post the flag. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Please remain standing, and please join me in reciting the Scout Oath and Law. Please refer to the screens as needed. Scout sign. Scout Oath. On my honor,
I will do my best to do my duty to guide my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Scout Law.
Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Thank you. 2.
We want to thank our color guard, Landon, Jace, and Slade, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Scout Oath and Law. CM, who is a second-class scout in Troop 131, chartered to First United Methodist Church, will now lead us in prayer.
Good morning. In the spirit of the 12th point of the Scout Law, Reverend, please prepare yourself for prayer. Heavenly Father, we pray for many things. For faith in a world where many walk in fear, for food in a world where many walk in hunger, for leadership in a world where so many only follow, for friends in a world where many walk alone, for freedom in a world where people are held captive. And Father, also bless us with humor, understanding of all, and smile, and world smiles in the same language. Father, Lord, place your loving hand over the assembly today, who give for the time, talent, and treasure, enabling Scouting to become a reality for so many young people. This we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
You may all be seated. Thank you, CM, for those inspiring words. I know I'm hungry, so let's eat. We will resume our program once everyone is served. As we celebrate 112 years of Scouting, we recognize you as Scouting friends, community leaders, and Scout volunteers. Studies have shown that individuals who participate in Scouting are more likely to volunteer, vote, graduate from college, and hold leadership positions in the workplace and in the community. The Scouting program starts with the Cub Scout program, where boys and girls, kindergarten through 5th grade, begin developing life skills, community awareness, and timeless values. Scouts BSA is the next step in the Scouting program. Young men and women experience the outdoors, earn merit badges, and have the opportunity to earn the rank of Eagle Scout. In addition, youth learn and develop leadership skills that last a lifetime. Venturing is the next tier in the Scouting program. Venturing is a youth-led, co-ed, high-adventure-based program that offers youth, men and women, a chance to experience new adventures like caving, mountain biking, and whitewater rafting. The last scouting program is Exploring. This career-based program allows young men and women to immerse themselves in a field of interest. Working with adult mentors, youth get a feel for a potential career from police and fire cadets to medical EMTs, to aviation, law, and more. In the Black Hills, annually, we help provide scouting experiences to more than 650 local young people and more than 1,000 youth from around the country through our summer camp program, impacting thousands of lives far into the future.
Good morning. I'm Nathan Davis, an Eagle Scout from Troop 131, chartered to First United Methodist Church. It's truly an honor to give the State of the Council address. As for many businesses, 2021 continued to be a challenging year. The Black Hills Area Council met our challenges head on. First, we completed the conditions of our conditional charter and we were restored to a regular charter. Second, we opened our summer camp hitting our targeted attendance goal. Staffing was hard, but we adjusted and prevailed. Fall brought the 83rd annual Mount Rushmore pilgrimage with scouts attending from all of our neighboring states and councils. The popcorn sale met our projections, providing funds for our units and the council. Membership numbers were down with losses from the inactivity caused by COVID. At this time, families are coming back to scouting. Council Key 3. Will you please stand and be recognized? Our Council Key 3 is comprised of Kim Jackson, Council President, Mike Lewis, Council Commissioner, and Corey Davis, Scout Executive. Finally, we would like to thank all of our table hosts today. Please stand and be recognized. Before I introduce Todd, for those of you who need to leave early, please fill out a pledge card and give it to your table host before you go. We now have a short introductional video for Todd Huston.
The world has its share of incredible mountain ranges, each with its share of high-profile peaks. Many people dream of reaching such elevations, but only few are bold enough to do so. This is a story of one man who broke world records. The man who set a world record by climbing to the highest elevations in every American state in a little less than 67 days. This world record holder has been featured in thousands of publications and televised programs across the world, achieving various global recognition as well as being awarded with several distinguished honors. Regarded as an inspirational speaker, his journey reflects both strength and ambition. However, it isn't only his achievements that have become the main source of motivation. It is more about how he managed to overcome the obstacles that stood in his way.
I know some people may consider this somewhat remarkable, but it really all started when my life changed when I was 14 years old. It was a beautiful day, and I had no idea what was about ready to happen. I'm sure everybody has had an experience where everything has just been going along great in life, and then all of a sudden, something happened. And my legs got sucked into the propeller. And that's when my life changed forever. It's been a long time since that accident when I was 14 years old. I overcome a lot of challenges, and I've been able to reach the impossible. And that's what I'm talking to you about today. I want to help you be able to reach your goals, overcome your obstacles, and achieve those dreams that you have in life. That's why I came to this event, is to talk to you and you.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce Todd Huston.
Okay, we can set up here. The sound okay? Everybody hear me? Fine. All right. And make sure they get that one up. All right. Yeah, it's possible. Just so they can see the screen a little better. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started here. So anyway, it's nice to be back in the Black Hills. It's been almost 20 years since I've been here. It's one of my favorite spots. I actually brag about the Black Hills a lot because of the rock formations. They're just so beautiful here, and you don't really get them anywhere else in the country. And there's just something about the land too. But I have climbed Devil's Tower, which is not too far from here. But it's just a beautiful area, and I wish more people probably knew about it. But then again, that would maybe take away some, when you get the crowd, then it's kind of a mess. So let's talk about how this happened. As you saw, I'm a mountain climber, and I have done some climbing around here. But there is something different about my climbing. And what is that? What makes me a little different as a climber? I only have one leg. And do you know which leg it is? Come on, guys, we only have two choices here, right? All right, it is my right leg. And I'll show it to you so you know I'm actually have this thing here. Here it is. And I know what you're probably thinking, that poor guy, he only has one leg. It's not true. I got about 6 or 7 of these in my closet. Let's talk about how this happened. Back when I was 14, I was back behind the boat water skiing with my family. When I looked up, I saw the boat coming towards me. And I screamed, "Hey, stop the boat!" Well, nobody could hear me. I see this propeller coming directly towards me. I try to swim out of the way, and the next thing I know, bam, hit. Both my legs are being sucked into the propellers. I can feel the propellers as they're going up my legs, tossing them back and forth underneath the water. I try and keep my head above water, and all of a sudden, this chaos turns to a deadly silence. I open my eyes. This dark green Oklahoma water had now turned to a bright red. I knew that I'd been hit. Well, up until that point, I was just your basic, whoops, sorry about that. I'm not real sure where I have to point this. There we go. I was just your basic kid, 8th grader, enjoyed playing football and sports. Obviously, I was in scouting. If you're trying to count the merit badges, there should be about 54 of them there. And I just really loved all of that. I was getting ready to go to a place called Philmont. And then 2 weeks before, that's when my accident happened. So all my dreams of ever going hiking, climbing, and camping in the mountains and the wilderness as a scout in a big kind of way, those dreams had now been dashed. So they rushed me to this boat dock, and there happened to be a doctor there by some miracle in the middle of nowhere. They load me up in the ambulance, get me to a small town hospital. The doctor looks at me, says, "You got to get him out of here to a bigger hospital. We can't help him here." He's overheard telling his staff, "I don't think this kid's going to make it." Well, finally, about 2 hours later, they're getting me to another hospital. But you know how they tell you that when you're you're really injured, your body kind of shuts down so it doesn't feel the pain. Have you ever heard that before? Yeah, well, that's a lie. Okay? I could feel the pain. They finally get me in the emergency room, and I died. They resuscitated me, got me in the operating room, and I flatlined again. So I actually went out twice that day. Well, the next day I woke up and I had hoses and tubes and wires all connected to me. And I felt my way down to my legs, and I felt that I still had my legs, and I thought, hey, everything's going to be okay. But that wasn't the case, because they told my parents that if I survived, I would probably never walk again. Well, while I was in the hospital, I kept asking myself this one question, which, we sometimes will ask when something has happened to us, some traumatic type of injury or illness to maybe somebody we love. And that was, why? Why me? I need some help with this, I think. Where is is it over here? Okay, got it. Why me? And sometimes we get our answer right away. Sometimes it might take weeks or months, in my case, almost 20 years before I realized how this seemingly horrific accident could actually become one of my life's greatest blessings. Because sometimes we get hit with something in life, and we know that from that point forward, our life is going to change forever. And we might think it's so horrible at the time. But it could actually become one of those things that leads to something being greater than you could have ever imagined. Well, of course, at the time, that's not what I was thinking. And I finally get out of the hospital, and I'm in a wheelchair, and then I'm up on crutches. Then I had to wear this metal brace, kind of like in the movie Forrest Gump. Have you ever seen him wearing that big metal brace? Well, that's what I had to wear. And actually, if you're ever watching that movie, look at the hospital scene. Forrest gets shot in the rear end, and they take him to the hospital. He has that big diaper on him. Well, that's... Can we move the computer out a little bit? Yeah. That's me sitting right behind Tom Hanks, and had no idea how big that movie was going to become. Well, I went on back to school. And when we have something that happens to us sometimes in our lives that's really traumatic, we have to just make do with what we have left. We just got to make the best of what we've got right now. And sometimes that's really hard to do. I mean, we sit there and we think, oh, I can't do this because I don't have this anymore. Well, that's not true. Because you always have something left. And you just got to try and make the best of it. And that's what I did. I still had my upper body, so I went ahead and kept working out. I'm just going to say next, and could you forward it for me? Okay, thanks. All right. So I kept working out, and because when I got to school, my spine stuck out so far I couldn't even sit in the chair. I was so skinny. Well, I'd be walking along in the parking lot, I might step on a nail or a piece of glass. I wouldn't know it till the end of the day. And I go to put my shoe off, and I have a nail stuck in the bottom of my foot. And it was just a bloody mess. And this happened several times. And over the next 7 years, I developed these huge holes in the bottom of my foot, about the size of a silver dollar. Then the bone got infected, and my ankle was chipping out. It was really disgusting. And I went to the doctor. The doctor said, Todd, you need to make a choice. Well, I love it when I have choices I get to make in life. Like I can go to the beach or, come up from Black Hills and go up to the mountains, right? But sometimes in life, we get choices, and none of those choices do we want to have to make. And that's how it was for me. They said, Todd, you need to choose between your next life or your leg. But you see, we can try and save that leg, but if we do that, infection can get into the rest of your body, and it can become very dangerous. Or we can amputate the right leg below the knee, and we think that will get rid of the infection. Well, of course, I chose to lose my leg instead. And I remember the night before my surgery going into, I was in my hospital room looking out the window thinking, wow, I have really gone through a lot of challenges. Just like many of you in this room have gone through challenges in your life. And I thought, at 21, I'm probably going to have a lot more challenges in my life. But do I want all that chaos and that craziness that's out in the world, I want that to dictate the happiness and the joy and the peace that I feel in life. Because if I do rely on the things out here, well, yeah, I'm going to have good days, I'm going to have bad days, and good days and bad days. I'm going up and down, riding that roller coaster all my life. And I don't care how much you like roller coasters, eventually you're probably going to get tired of it. I thought there has to be a better way. And I thought there has to be a strength within us that's stronger than all that craziness out here. So the next day I thought I'd test out my theory. So you know what I did? I went into the operating room and I was wide awake. I did not even have aspirin in me. All I had to do was numb me below the waist. And while I was talking to the doctor, he fired up the saw and he amputated my right leg below the knee. And that was when I realized that no matter how crazy it may seem out here, we have a strength within us. But we must always remember to choose to use it. Well, they gave me a new leg. It's like a tree limb with a rubber foot on the bottom of it. It wasn't real comfortable. And I would take a step, I'd fall on the floor screaming in pain. But I'd get back up and I just kept doing this one step after another, because what's the Chinese proverb say? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with first step. That's right. So I kept taking those steps. And even though they were, painful, I would go ahead and take the painkillers for it. I got addicted to the painkillers. Easy to do, happens to a lot of people. And after being addicted there for a while, one day I thought I overdosed, told somebody to call the ambulance. And I remember that point saying, if I get out of this, I'll never do it again. Well, instantly, my head cleared up. I hadn't even taken any of the drugs. And I remember that day, and since that time, I think I've had one for a wisdom tooth I had pulled, but I have not had any other painkillers. I haven't even had a sip of alcohol or even a sip of Coca-Cola since that day. And that's been almost 40 years. And the point of this is not go have something to drink or, take something for pain. The point is this, is that if there is something that you need to change in your life, either to get rid of something that's holding you back, or to be able to do something that you really need to do to move you forward, all it takes is one moment to change your life. That's it, just one moment. And you do that by just making a different choice and living that choice, moment by moment by moment. Those moments will turn into years and turn into decades. And whatever it was that you want, advice or something that you were giving up, you're never going to miss it. But whatever you decide to do to raise yourself up, you might think it might get you this high. Well, that's not true. It might get you this high. Who knows how high it's going to get you? But you see, no psychologist or no scientist, nobody's ever been able to figure out what the true height of human potential really is. So you don't know what great heights you can really reach if you try. Next. Well, I went ahead and went on back to graduate school, got my master, and I became a psychotherapist in Southern California, where Lord knows they need all the psychotherapists they can get. And while I was out there, I married this girl from New Zealand. We had to get married kind of quickly due to immigration issues. We got it all worked out over the next couple of years. And then a few weeks after we got it worked out, she disappeared. I found out what that marriage was all about. Because see, you can have pain, like physical pain, and go through accidents and illnesses and injuries and stuff like that. That's one thing, but you kind of look at it and you go, well, I know I'm going to feel better in a few weeks or a few days or whatever. But when it's pain in the heart, you don't know how long that's going to take. And you don't know how that's really going to affect you. But I do know that no matter what happens, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. But we have to keep looking at that light. And if we do, eventually it's going to have to show itself. You see, at this point, we were going to move. So I couldn't notice where I lived and where I worked. So I lost my home, my wife, my job, and of course she was sweet enough to go by the bank, and my money all in 1 week. So you might say kind of a rough week. But like I said, you never give up. You just pick up where you're at and you try and make the best of it and move forward. Because what may seem like a setback and a step down could actually be a huge leap up. You never know. Well, when I went back to the office, I had this envelope sitting on my desk because I got my job back, and it said, "Dear Mr. Houston, we're looking for 5 disabled people to climb the highest elevations of all 50 states." we're looking for a blind person, we're looking for somebody with muscular dystrophy, a leg amputee. And I thought, well, I'm a leg amputee and I don't have a lot keeping me back right now. So I applied and I was accepted to be on that climbing team. I was so excited I started training immediately. Next. Now I hadn't ran for 16 years, but I knew that I needed to take one step after another, right? So when I started running, my legs were like noodles. But within 3 months, I was up to running 12 miles without having to stop. And that was when I realized something about running. I learned something about running. Do we have any runners in here? Maybe a couple of you? Okay. Well, this is what I learned about running. I hate it. But sometimes we have to do things that we don't really want to do to be able to get to where we need to go. So I kept training, and I did it for an entire year. A month before we were supposed to leave, they canceled the expedition because they didn't get any sponsorship. As I was hanging up the phone, that little voice went off in me, that little voice of intuition that we all have. You know, they now say we kind of have two brains. We got the brain up here. We also have a bundle of nerves that have like brain cells near the heart. And that's our intuition. And you feel that gut feeling, that kind of thing. So, and it communicates to the brain. So this little voice is like, do this climb on your own. I had no idea how I was going to do it. But I had to raise money for it, $50,000 in 1 month. I had to continue training for it, hold down my full-time job, and organize and create a team for the expedition. But I made it all work out. And then within 30 days, I took off on what was known as the Summit America Expedition. That's what I want to show you some pictures of today. Next. The name of the expedition, like I said, was called the Summit America Expedition. The idea was to climb to the highest elevation of all 50 states, something that only 32 people in the world had ever done before. A leg amputee had never even attempted it. That's the leg that I wore, had a little shock absorber on it so I could jump up and down on the rock without it hurting my real leg. I drilled a hole through the center of it so that I could attach snowshoes and crampons, and then I put the sole of a boot directly on the bottom because obviously I didn't have to worry about my toes getting cold or anything like that. Next. And when I got this leg, it was brand new technology. And I called the manufacturer up. I said, hey, I'm going to be at over 20,000 feet in minus 50-degree weather, weeks at a time, hundreds of miles from civilization. How well is this leg going to work? And they said, well, Todd, when you get back, give us a call and let us know. So I had to go to, like I said, the highest point of all 50 states. So I had to go to the highest point like Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Florida. That's not a real high one, by the way. And I could only fly to 2 states. One was Alaska and the other was Hawaii. That's right. Next. Let's try. Okay, let's do it again. Thank you. So I started on the East Coast. This happens to be the highest point in Delaware. It's actually in the middle of a street. All right, some of you laughed, but it was a very busy street. Next, saw lots of animals. Saw moose, bear, that's baby bear, which means, mama bear's nearby. I figured if that snake in South Carolina was going to bite me, he would have been in for a bigger surprise than I would have. Some wild mustangs in Nevada tried to charge me. These were actually really tame ones in Virginia. Now, the one animal is a mountain climber that you don't want to run across. I actually ran across it climbing up the highest point of South Dakota. Right? So now named Black Elk, right, instead of Barney. And I'm hiking along, and there it was, sitting right on the edge of the trail. Does anybody know what that thing is? It's obviously bigger than it was nothing about, it's longer than a buffalo, fatter than a mountain lion. I know you guys are going to recognize it when you see it. It is the North American next rock lizard. Okay, how many of you guys have seen this? Okay, very good. So, anyway, I get to show that to the rest of the country. I love it. So, anyhow, they're very slow, by the way. Next. So then I went down to Kansas, the highest point of Kansas. Mount Sunflower actually has these welded railroad spikes to make the sunflower, but they have historical events happen at some of these high points. Kansas was one of those. And does anybody remember what happened at the highest point of Kansas? I'll give you a hint. 1897 is when it happened. Any historians in here? It wasn't the railroad. Okay. Next, they have a little plaque that tells you about it. Next. And then I went down to Texas. This is Guadalupe Peak, the highest point of Texas. This is where I was climbing in 118-degree heat. It was extremely hot. Now, has anybody ever been out to extreme western Texas, out by El Paso, that area? You seen the open range out there? Yeah? Okay. If you haven't seen it, here's a picture of some of it. Next. That picture's actually taken. Anybody know where that picture really is? It's on the highway on the way up to the highest point between here and North Dakota. And it's sitting on the side of the highway in North Dakota. Next. So the western states are much higher, much more difficult, a lot more dangerous. That comes out from snow, rock avalanches, high altitude, thunderstorms, lightning. The top one over there, that's the Kings Peak, the highest point of Utah. The one below it is Mount Rainier, the highest point of the state of Washington, and then Mount Windy, the highest point in the lower 48 states, and California, 14,498 feet. Next, you have to have a lot of good gear. You have to climb with a team. Next. Here I am on the way up to the highest point of Montana, Granite Peak. I'm up on Frozen to Death Plateau here. From there, I'm going to go on up this cliff next, give you an idea how big those rocks really are. So if you spot, you see the two arrows. The lower one is me, the upper one is my climbing partner. And you go up wall after wall like this. Next, here I am with a couple of thousand feet of air below me, no rope, bad hair day. Next, we're up about 13,000 feet up, again, no rope. The reason I didn't have a rope is because ropes are heavy. I have one leg, I'm trying to go as light as I can. I will have another team member keep a short rope just in case we need to use it. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you that you may not agree with me on, but hear me out. And that is that there is no such thing as fear. Fear does not exist. So let me explain. So when I'm standing on the side of the cliff looking down thousands of feet of air, I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. Whereas the person standing right next to me could literally be peeing in their pants. But see, no matter how I feel about it, if my rope breaks, I go splat like anybody else. Because danger is real, but fear is not. Next, if I take every one of you and I line you up along the cliff, and you're looking down this cliff, every one of you is going to have a different sensation of fear. And if fear were real, it wouldn't be like danger. It would be the same for all of us. So what we have to do is we have to realize what fear is. It's like an illusion. It's like a cloud. It's like a shadow. And whenever we experience it, we have to kind of just move it over to the side. And then we can more clearly see what the danger really is, even if there is any danger. And then we can make better choices for ourselves and also for others. Next. Here I am in the red from the top of Gannett Peak, the highest point of Wyoming. Now, there are several ways to get down these mountains. You can hike down, you can use your rope, rappel down, and sometimes what we do is we take a couple of steps next, and we slide on our rear end down the mountain. And that's called saving. So what I do here is I'll take my climbing axe here and I'll start steering my way down the mountain. And then when I'm ready to stop, I'll take this edge right here, dig it inside the mountain, lay down on top of it, and I stop. And this is a young man who has learned to overcome his fears. Now, if you look at this climbing axe, does it look like I've ever fallen before? Yes, I have fallen many, many times. But the mark of a true winner is not whether or not you fall, it's that you get back up. It's not that you get back up 1 time, 3 times, or 297 times. It's that you get back up every single time. And if you're not the one that took the fall, then as scouts, you know what we have to do. We're there to help lift other people up. We're there to help them reach the heights they're supposed to reach. And that's the only way we can ever reach the great heights that we're individually meant to go, is by helping others. And see, scouting helped me in so many different areas in my life. I mean, from getting ran over by the boat to where I'm sitting there with my entire left thigh completely ripped open to the bone, my backside of my right leg missing, my knee cut in half. And what do I have to do? What do they tell me to do in scouting? Don't panic. Really? But I didn't. And then I'm on this climb. And all the other things that I've had to go through in life. Scouting taught me the rules. It taught me the skills. It taught me how to live. Not just for myself and protect myself, but also for others. For my friends, for my family, for my community. And hopefully, for humanity. Next. The last one I want to show you is Mountain Denali. Not only the highest mountain in Alaska and the United States, but the entire North American continent. This is a monster of a mountain. Next. It's over 20,320 feet high. I had a great team to go with me. The guy in the white, he was the current world record holder for climbing the highest mountains of all 50 states, which is what I was trying to do with Southern America. He did them all in 101 days. Next. We flew through one-shot pass. Didn't ask them why they called it that. Next. Then we landed at the Keynote International Airport. It's actually just a glacier. Next. And then what we're going to do is we're going to land at 7,000 feet. We're going to walk down Heartbreak Hill and then up the glacier. We're going to go up Motorcycle Hill around Windy Corner. We're going to have another camp at 14,000 feet. We're going to rest there for a few days before we go up a very steep wall of snow and ice, a couple of thousand feet high. From there, we're going to go on up to high camp at 17,000 feet. We're going to hope that the weather's good the next day, and then we're going to go up to the top at 20,000, and that takes about 21 days to do. And then we're going to drop down, and that would be about 2 days to get down. Next. So it's an extremely dangerous mountain, not only because of its weather and altitude, but because it's extremely remote. Next. We have snow walls built around our tents. Next. We have snow caves. We had to wear all the goose down stuff because when you breathe at night, your water vapor goes to the top of the tent and freezes, and then it snows back down on top of you inside your tent. Next. Here we're going across the glacier. Even though it looks so nice and smooth and pretty, what you don't see are the big crevasses. You can step in one of those and disappear forever. That's why we're roped together. Next. We did a lot of climbing in the middle of the night. This was at 3 o'clock in the morning. The sun never set. And that's when the snow was nice and hard, so we could walk on top of it instead of sinking down into it. Next. And we're getting above the clouds, avoiding the crevasses as we go up. Next. I had a 65-pound backpack. I'm carrying a 35-pound sled. I have to watch out for the crevasses below me. And next, the avalanches that can come in from above. And this avalanche actually cut loose a couple of years later and got a couple of climbers. Next. Next. Here we are, 14,000 feet. You can tell which one's the Ranger because it's sub-zero temperatures and he's the one in the short sleeves. Next. Been to a lot of beautiful places in this world, from Australia to the King of Bahrain, had me at his palace just recently. But I have never ever seen a bathroom with that beautiful of a view. Next. So from 14,000 feet, which is where we are there, you see the little camp down there. We're going to go up 2,000 feet of snow, rock, and ice. That's called the head wall. Next. Once you get up there, it just drops down another couple of thousand feet on the other side. There's hardly even room to be able to walk along that edge. So if we're going, you don't camp here, you're going up to 17,000, but that's when that little voice went off in me again, that little voice of intuition that we all have. And it was like, stay and camp at 16. Stay at 16. I told the guys, hey, we're turning back. We're not going up to camp at 17. We're going to camp here. They said, Todd, this is not where people camp. This can be really dangerous. I said, I don't know why, but we need to do it. They were not talking to me until late that night. And that's when they weren't mad at me anymore. Because at that point, a huge storm came in off the Bering Sea. Next. And when that storm came in, because we were a little lower on the mountain at 17,000 feet, we were on a different angle of it, we were able to ride out the whiteout blizzard conditions. Well, I felt so sorry for those guys at 17,000 because whenever there was a break in the weather, they had to bail off the mountain. They had to forget their summit attempt, maybe come back another year. So they came by my tent, and to help them out, I went ahead and unloaded all that heavy gourmet food out of their backpacks. We ate like kings for 3 days next, and then we headed on up to high camp. From there, we're going to go up the Autobahn to Denali Pass, across to the what's actually called the Pig Hill, and then up to the Summit Ridge. Next. So here we've come across the Autobahn. My buddy Mike is holding his climbing axe really tight because this is where a lot of people fall on Denali Pass and get killed or injured. Next. Now we've gone across the football field. We're heading up Pig Hill. You see the 3 climbers there. I was pretty scared at that point. I had 2 body bags drug in front of me. One was a frozen climber. They found him hanging upside down on his rope, frozen to death. The other one, they found him sitting on his rock with a radio next to his head, also frozen. And these guys were hired by the Park Service to teach safe climbing techniques. So this mountain can be extremely dangerous no matter how good you thought you were. I had to take 3 breaths just to take 1 step. So I take 3 breaths, the oxygen is so thick, it's like half of what it is at sea level. And then I take a step, slam my climbing axe in the side of the mountain, and do it all over again. And every time I took a step, it felt like I was taking that climbing axe and jamming it into my legs. It was so painful. But I kept doing 1 step after another, which is what we have to do as we go through life, and until eventually, next, I hit the top of North America at 20,320 feet on a very rare and beautiful clear day. Now, the idea behind this climb was to try and climb to the highest elevation of all 50 states. That's something that only 32 people in the world had ever done before, and a leg amputee had never accomplished it. I did become the first leg amputee to climb to the highest elevation of all 50 states. The world record, like I said, was 101 days. Instead of 101 days, I did it in 66 days, 22 hours and 47 minutes. There's by shattering the 2-legged record after 35 days, becoming the first and only disabled person to break an able-bodied world record in sports. And the whole idea behind this climb was to encourage people, to inspire them, that they can overcome their challenges in life. But whether it's a challenge that you get hit with, or whether it's a challenge like a goal that you set for yourself, they're all there for the same reason. They're all there to bring out the greatness that is already within you. But what we have to do is we have to
skills and experiences, the knowledge, character, the faith to make the world a better place. Our mission may be lofty, but with your help, it is attainable. As a Scout, I ask you to support Scouting through a financial pledge to our Council's 2022 Friends of Scouting annual campaign. It is our hope that everyone here today will make a financial pledge to support Scouting. With your generous help, we should be well on our way to attaining our goal of $100,000. We ask you to consider a pledge of $200. This is the annual cost to support 1 Scout in the Black Hills Area Council. We acknowledge that many of you contribute at a much higher level, and for that we are deeply grateful. Your table hosts can discuss the specifics of completing your pledge card and the ways you pay your pledge either today or in payments over the course of a year. Please remember that all donations stay local. Please sign, date, and verify your mailing address before you return your card to your table host. For those that are using a credit card, please be sure to sign and date the pledge card and include your 3-digit code. Table hosts, please collect the pledge cards and give them to a staff member as they come around to your table.
We want to thank Todd Huston for his thoughts and inspiration. Todd, we hope you will fondly remember this important visit to Rapid City. We have a 3D Mount Rushmore plaque to help you remember your time in Black Hills.
Don't have one of these, do you?
We will have some signed books provided by Todd. We will draw for winners later today and will distribute books to the winners later this week. Make sure your name is in the bucket before you leave. We would like to thank all of our sponsors for their support, and especially Liberty Superstores, Don Patno, RCS Construction, Bob and RC Sculpt, Seco Construction, Neil Schlotman, and First Interstate Bank. Today you have made a difference in the lives of youth, like the Scouts are today, and have done something important for our community. Thank you again for coming, and we look forward to seeing you.